So basically, if you ask me what it's all about, I would say it is tongue-in-cheek, and it's not to be taken too serious.
November 24th, 1991. Freddie Mercury, the legendary frontman of Queen, was gone at just 45 years old. The entire music world fell into mourning. But what they didn't tell you is the dark truth behind his death. For years, he secretly battled AIDS, only revealing it to the world a mere 24 hours before he died. And even now, decades later, no one knows where his ashes were hidden. Imagine this, a close-up of his frail face in that quiet room at Garden Lodge on his final night, lying there surrounded by silence. So here's the real question that still haunts us. What truly happened in that room during his last moments? And why did Freddie take so many shocking secrets to the grave with him? Today we're uncovering it all. Chaptet 1. Early life and the road to music. Let's go back a small spice island off the coast of East Africa in 1946. On September 5th, in the British protectorate of Zanzibar, Farouk Bulsara was born into a close-knit Parsi family who followed the ancient Zoroastrian faith. His parents, Bomi and Jer, were solid middle-class people. His father worked as a cashier for the British Colonial Office. Life felt stable, even privileged, in a conservative community where tradition and family values ran deep. But young Farouk carried something restless inside him, a spark that would one day set the world on fire. At just 8 years old, his parents sent him across the sea to St. Peter's, a strict British-style boarding school in the hill town of Panchgani, India. The 10-day journey by ship and then train must have felt enormous for a shy boy with prominent teeth that earned him the nickname Bucky. Away from home, surrounded by rules and distant mountains, he found his first real outlet in music. He joined the school choir, learned piano with fierce determination, and discovered he had a natural gift for performance. Off stage, he stayed quiet and reserved, almost invisible. But the moment the spotlight hit him, everything changed. In 1958, at around 12, Farouk and 4 classmates formed the Hectics, their first rock and roll band. He hammered out boogie-woogie piano while they covered Buddy Holly, Bill Haley, and Little Richard. They played school dances and local fetes, and the girls from the neighboring school would scream like they were watching Elvis. One unforgettable night on a Zanzibar beach, music floated through the air, and Farouk suddenly broke into the twist. His energy was magnetic. Soon a circle of conservative local girls in burqas had joined him, dancing right alongside the future rock god. It was the first glimpse of the showman he would become. By 1963, school was over and he returned to Zanzibar. But political unrest was brewing. In 1964, the family fled the island and started over in England, settling in a modest house in Feltham, Middlesex. Farouk was 17, a foreigner in a swinging London scene exploding with new sounds. He studied graphic design at Isleworth Polytechnic and later Ealing College of Art, pouring his creativity into sketches and paintings. He worked odd jobs, including a stint as a baggage handler at Heathrow Airport, just to survive. Music kept calling. He played in small bands like Ibex and Wreckage, still searching for his place. Then fate stepped in. Through mutual friends, he met Brian May and Roger Taylor of the band Smile. Freddie, now starting to use that name, hung around their rehearsals, offering ideas and energy. When Smile's singer Tim Staffel left in 1970, Freddie stepped forward with quiet determination. "I'll sing." He suggested the name Queen, regal, powerful, and a little outrageous, and designed the iconic crest himself, weaving in the zodiac signs of the band members in a phoenix rising behind them. John Deacon soon joined on bass, and the classic lineup was complete. The shy boy from Zanzibar had found his kingdom. Chapter 2. Queen's Explosion and Freddie's Genius. The early years were a grind, tiny gigs, borrowed equipment, and a sound that didn't fit any easy category. Their self-titled debut in 1973 showed promise, but didn't explode. Then came sheer heart attack in 1974 and the breakthrough. Freddie's voice, raw power mixed with operatic range, demanded attention. On stage, he was pure theater, long hair flying, flamboyant outfits, commanding every inch of space with that magnetic charisma. Audiences who once sat politely now stood and screamed. Everything changed in 1975 with A Night at the Opera. Freddie poured his soul into Bohemian Rhapsody, a 6-minute masterpiece that blended hard rock, opera, and pure emotion. No one had heard anything like it. The song became a cultural phenomenon, and Queen became untouchable. Freddie's songwriting grew bolder. Somebody to Love drew from gospel fire. Crazy Little Thing Called Love swung with rockabilly swagger. Visually, the band evolved too. Freddie's look shifted from glam rock elegance to a sharper, mustached rock god image in the 80s, always pushing boundaries. Their music kept transforming. Hard rock anthems like We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, disco grooves on The Game, funk and electronic experiments on Hot Space. Freddie's openness to every genre kept Queen fresh while staying unmistakably themselves. Behind the spectacle was a man who never stopped creating, never stopped surprising. Chapter 3, A Life of Color and Quiet Complexity. Off stage, Freddie's world was more private, layered with deep loyalties and hidden depths. In 1969, he met Mary Austin, a 19-year-old working at the trendy Biba boutique in London. She was quiet and grounded. He was the wild, artistic musician with big dreams. They fell in love fast. By Christmas 1973, Freddie proposed in his playful way, nesting boxes inside boxes until she found a beautiful jade ring. Love of My Life was written for her, a tender ballad that revealed how much she meant to him. Their romantic chapter eventually changed, yet the bond never broke. Freddie called her his common-law wife, the one person he trusted completely. Even after their engagement ended, Mary remained his closest friend and confidant for the rest of his life. He left her his beloved Garden Lodge mansion and a huge portion of his estate. She was there through every high and low, the steady anchor in his whirlwind world. In the mid-1980s, Freddie found another deep connection with Jim Hutton, an Irish hairdresser he met at the Heaven nightclub. What began with playful tension, arguments, jealousy, and Freddie testing the waters, grew into something steady and domestic. At home, they were surprisingly ordinary. Lying on the sofa, Freddie massaging Jim's feet after work, talking about simple things while their cats wandered around. Jim became a quiet source of stability during Freddie's most private years. Freddie's personality was a beautiful contradiction. On stage, he was larger than life. Outrageous costumes, theatrical gestures, pure command. Off stage, he could be shy, introspective, even vulnerable. He carried the quiet pride of his Zoroastrian roots, the ancient faith that taught good thoughts, good words, good deeds. His sister Kashmira later said the religion gave him the drive to work hard, persevere, and chase his dreams no matter what. He rarely spoke publicly about his heritage, but it shaped the man who never stopped pushing boundaries, whether in music, fashion, or self-expression. There were always layers to Freddie that few people fully saw. The flamboyant showman who challenged every norm carried private struggles and quiet complexities in his relationships and inner world. Those mysteries only made his light burn brighter for the millions who loved him. He was building something extraordinary, music that would outlive him, a legacy of freedom and passion. But even as Queen conquered the world, Freddie was quietly writing the next chapters of his own story, some of them destined to stay hidden for years to come. Chapter 4, The Death and the Secret. But the real tragedy began quietly in 1987. Queen was at the absolute peak of their glory, stadiums packed, hits ruling the charts, the world at their feet. Freddie Mercury had already been diagnosed as HIV positive. He chose to keep it locked away like one of his most guarded stage costumes. Only a tiny inner circle knew. Mary Austin, Jim Hutton, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and their longtime manager. The rest of the world saw the flamboyant superstar who still commanded every stage like a king. Behind the scenes, a different battle was raging. Freddie's decision to stay silent wasn't cowardice. It was protection. The 1980s were a cruel time. AIDS carried terrifying stigma, especially for a gay man in the public eye. He didn't want tabloids tearing apart his loved ones or turning his illness into gossip. Brian May and Roger Taylor became silent guardians, helping coordinate schedules, cover absences, and keep the recording sessions alive, even as Freddie's body began to betray him. One particularly haunting day in the studio stands out. It was during the making of Innuendo. Freddie arrived looking frailer than usual. Small blisters had broken out on his skin, painful reminders of how the disease was progressing. His energy was fading fast. He could barely stand for long stretches. The band and crew saw it immediately, but no one spoke the word AIDS out loud. Instead, they quietly adjusted everything around him. Roger placed a comfortable chair closer to the microphone. Brian made sure the lighting was softer so the cameras wouldn't catch every shadow on his face. Someone brought in extra blankets because the chills came without warning. Freddie, ever the professional, cracked a joke to lighten the mood. "Darlings, just pretend I'm rehearsing for a dramatic opera scene." But his voice was weaker, thinner. He pushed through take after take, pouring what strength he had left into those haunting vocals. In that moment, the studio wasn't just a workspace. It became a sanctuary where love and loyalty quietly fought against time. The rumors, of course, swirled like vultures. Tabloids printed grainy photos of a gaunt Freddie and speculated wildly. Some whispered about drug use catching up with him after years of excess in the rock and roll fast lane. Others pointed to his flamboyant lifestyle and made cruel, ignorant assumptions about how he must have caught it. Freddie knew the whispers. He read the papers. But he kept his head high and his diagnosis locked inside. Only in private moments did the weight show. There were nights at Garden Lodge where he would sit with Mary, her hand gently holding his as they talked about everything and nothing. Jim Hutton became his rock, massaging his feet after long days, helping him move when the fatigue hit hardest, sharing quiet dinners where laughter still found a way through the pain. Freddie's courage in those final years was breathtaking. He stopped his medication in early November 1991, choosing to face the end on his own terms rather than prolong the suffering. He wanted control in a situation where so much had been taken from him. The last recording sessions were bittersweet marathons. He would rest between takes, sometimes lying down right there in the studio, then rise again when the music called. The band adapted seamlessly, turning every moment into something meaningful. They knew time was running out, yet they created beauty until the very end. On November 23, 1991, just 24 hours before he left this world, Freddie finally released a statement to the public. Following the enormous conjecture in the press, I wish to confirm that I have been tested HIV positive and have AIDS. The words were simple, dignified, and heartbreaking. He had protected everyone as long as he could. Now he was letting the world know, hoping it might help others fighting the same fight. The next day, November 24th, Freddie passed away at Garden Lodge from bronchial pneumonia brought on by AIDS. He was surrounded by the people who mattered most: Mary, Jim, close friends, and his beloved cats. In his final hours, he still found moments of that signature humor and grace. He asked to be carried downstairs one last time to look at his art collection, the paintings that had brought him joy. Jim helped him, and Freddie looked at each piece with quiet appreciation. "They're wonderful," he whispered. Those were among his last clear words. Even in death, Freddie kept some mysteries close. He had given Mary Austin strict instructions about his ashes. Scatter them somewhere no one would ever find. To this day, only she knows the location. He didn't want fans turning a grave into a spectacle or paparazzi hunting for photos. It was his final act of privacy, his way of saying the show was over, but the man belonged only to those who truly loved him. The world mourned a legend, but those closest to him mourned a friend who had carried immense pain with remarkable dignity. Freddie's battle with AIDS wasn't just a personal tragedy. It shone a harsh light on the fear and ignorance surrounding the disease in the 1980s. Through his silence and eventual courage, he helped humanize something society had demonized. In the quiet of Garden Lodge after he was gone, the room still echoed with his laughter, his music, his larger-than-life presence. He had lived brightly, loved deeply, and fought silently. And though his body was gone, the spark he carried, that unstoppable, theatrical, generous spirit, would never fade. It lived on in every note of Queen's music, in every fan who found strength in his story, and in the quiet knowledge that even legends carry secrets, and even secrets can inspire. Chapter 5. Final days full of drama. The final days of Freddie Mercury's life were a heartbreaking blend of quiet courage, love, and unbearable pain. By early November 1991, Freddie had made a deeply personal decision. He stopped taking all his medication. He wanted to leave this world on his own terms, not clinging to a life that had become constant suffering. He retreated to the sanctuary of Garden Lodge, his beloved mansion in Kensington, surrounded by the things and people that brought him comfort, his cats, his art, and the small circle of those he trusted most. The house, once filled with extravagant parties and laughter, had become a place of gentle stillness. Sunlight filtered softly through the windows, casting long shadows across the rooms. The air carried the faint scent of fresh flowers that Mary Austin made sure were always present. Freddie's cats, his constant companions, moved quietly around him, sometimes curling up on the bed as if they sensed he needed their warmth. Jim Hutton, his devoted partner, was a steady presence, helping with every small task. Mary Austin, his eternal love of my life, visited daily, sitting beside his bed for hours, brushing his hair when it stuck up, and speaking softly about old memories. Their bond remained unbreakable, a quiet marriage of the heart that had lasted through every chapter of his life. Freddie's body was failing rapidly. He had grown painfully thin. Simple movements took enormous effort. His once powerful voice, the instrument that had shaken stadiums, was now fragile, yet in fleeting moments, it still carried that unmistakable strength and warmth. He would suddenly smile and say something witty, reminding everyone of the showman he had always been. But the pain was constant. There were long stretches of silence broken only by the soft ticking of clocks, the distant hum of London traffic outside the walls, and the occasional gentle meow from one of the cats. As the days narrowed, the atmosphere in Garden Lodge grew heavier. Friends took turns visiting, but only a few were allowed close. The final 13 hours were especially poignant. On the evening of November 23rd, Freddie knew the end was near. He had already discussed with his manager, Jim Beach, the wording of a public statement. Around 8 p.m. that Friday night, the statement was released. Following the enormous conjecture in the press over the last 2 weeks, I wish to confirm that I have been tested HIV positive and have AIDS. I felt it correct to keep this information private to date to protect the privacy of those around me. However, the time has now come for my friends and fans around the world to know the truth. The words were calm and dignified, but they carried the weight of years of silence. Releasing them brought Freddie a visible sense of relief. For the first time in a long while, he seemed more at peace. He no longer had to hide. That night, the house was filled with a strange calm. Soft lights glowed in the rooms. Jim stayed close, holding his hand. Mary was there too, offering the comfort only she could give. Freddie spoke quietly with them, reflecting on life, love, and the music that had defined him. There were moments of laughter, faint but genuine, as he recalled funny stories from the road. The cats sensed the mood and stayed near the bed, their purring a gentle soundtrack in the quiet room. As midnight passed into the early hours of November 24th, Freddie's condition worsened. His breathing became more labored. The room was dimly lit, with only a few lamps casting warm pools of light. Outside, the world was still unaware of how close the end had come. Inside, time slowed. Every breath was precious. Jim helped him shift positions when discomfort set in. Mary sat nearby, sometimes brushing his hair or wiping his forehead with cool cloths. The air smelled faintly of medicine and flowers. The only sounds were the soft rustle of sheets, the occasional whisper of encouragement, and Freddie's weakening but still recognizable voice as he murmured a few final words. He asked to be carried downstairs one last time to look at his beloved art collection. Jim and others gently helped him. The spotlights were turned on, illuminating the paintings he had collected with such passion. Freddie gazed at them quietly, taking in the colors and forms that had brought him joy. "They're wonderful," he said softly. It was one of his last clear moments of appreciation. They brought him back upstairs to bed as the first light of dawn began to touch the windows. The final hours passed in a haze of morphine and love. Freddie drifted in and out of consciousness. His body was exhausted, but his spirit remained gentle. Around him, the small group kept vigil. Jim, Mary, and close friends taking turns. There were no dramatic last speeches, only the quiet intimacy of people who had shared a lifetime together. The house itself seemed to hold its breath. The clocks ticked on. The cats watched from the edges of the room. At 6:48 p.m. on November 24, 1991, Freddie Mercury passed away peacefully. The official cause was bronchial pneumonia resulting from AIDS. He was 45 years old. In the immediate aftermath, a profound stillness settled over Garden Lodge. The man who had filled arenas with his voice and personality was gone, but the love he left behind lingered in every corner. Jim Hutton later recalled the deep sorrow mixed with gratitude for the time they had shared. Mary Austin, entrusted with his final wishes, carried the heavy responsibility of his ashes, ensuring they would rest in a secret place known only to her, exactly as Freddie had wanted. Those final days were full of drama, yes, but not the sensational kind the tabloids craved. It was the drama of human resilience, of love that refused to let go, and of a man who faced death with the same dignity and flair he had brought to every stage he ever stood on. Freddie Mercury did not go quietly into the night. He went on his own terms, surrounded by the people and the creatures he loved, leaving behind a legacy that would echo far louder than any rumor or secret ever could. A greatest secret that remains unsolved. Even in death, Freddie Mercury guarded his privacy with the same fierce determination he once brought to the stage. Before he slipped away, in one of the most intimate and heartbreaking conversations of his final days, Freddie gave Mary Austin a deeply personal request that would become one of the most enduring mysteries in rock history. It was a quiet afternoon in mid-November 1991 at Garden Lodge. The light outside was soft and golden, filtering through the tall windows and casting gentle patterns across the polished floors. The house, usually alive with music or the chatter of friends, had grown hushed. Freddie lay in his bed, propped up against pillows, his once vibrant frame now painfully frail. His cats curled nearby, offering silent comfort with their warm presence and soft purring. The air carried the faint scent of fresh flowers that Mary always made sure were arranged beautifully. Jim Hutton sat close by, but this particular moment belonged to Freddie and Mary alone. Freddie took her hand, his grip weak but intentional. His voice, though tired, still held that unmistakable warmth and clarity. He looked at her with those expressive eyes that had captivated millions and said softly, "Mary, I know exactly where I want you to put me, but nobody is to know. I don't want anyone trying to dig me up. Fans can be deeply obsessive. I just want to rest in peace." Mary, fighting back tears, nodded. She had been his rock for so long, through the wild years of fame, the heartbreaks, the secrets, and now this final chapter. She promised him she would honor his wish. Freddie squeezed her hand a little tighter, a small, grateful smile crossing his face. In that moment, the flamboyant superstar who had commanded stadiums reduced everything to the simplest human need, the desire for dignity and privacy in death. He trusted only her with this final act. No one else, not even his parents, not Jim, not the band, would know the location. It was their private pact, forged in love and sealed in sorrow. After Freddie passed on November 24th, Mary carried the heavy responsibility. The funeral service followed Zoroastrian rites, but the ashes remained with her. For nearly 2 years, she kept the urn in his bedroom at Garden Lodge, unable to bring herself to part with it. The room stayed largely untouched, a sacred space filled with memories. She would sometimes sit there alone, surrounded by his art, his clothes, and the quiet echoes of his laughter. The weight of that urn was more than physical. It held the remains of the man she had loved for over 20 years. Finally, one ordinary morning, Mary decided it was time. She planned everything with care and secrecy. She slipped the urn into an unremarkable plastic bag, the kind anyone might carry shopping. She told the household staff she was going out for a beauty treatment. Nothing unusual, just a normal errand. No one suspected a thing. She left Garden Lodge alone, heart pounding, the bag carefully placed in her car. Driving through the streets of London, she felt a profound mix of grief and duty. Every turn reminded her of the man who had once filled those same streets with his larger-than-life presence. Now she was carrying the last piece of him, determined to give him the peace he had asked for. Mary chose a location known only to her. She performed the act with reverence and love, saying her private goodbyes under whatever sky or among whatever trees she selected. When it was done, she returned home as if nothing extraordinary had happened. The secret was complete. To this day, more than 34 years later, only Mary Austin knows where Freddie Mercury's ashes rest. She has never revealed it, not even to his closest family or friends. It remains one of the most perfectly kept secrets in the history of music. Imagine the weight she carried. The woman who had been called his common-law wife, who had shared his joys and sorrows, now held the final chapter of his story entirely in her hands. Some have speculated she might have chosen a place tied to their happiest memories, a quiet garden, a favorite spot in the countryside, or somewhere near the water that reminded him of his island roots. Others wonder if the ashes were scattered rather than buried, allowing Freddie's spirit to truly be free. But Mary has stayed true to her promise. He didn't want anyone trying to dig him up, as has happened with some famous people, she once explained. Fans can be deeply obsessive. He wanted it to remain a secret, and it will remain so. This final mystery feels strangely fitting for a man who lived so boldly in public, yet protected his inner world so fiercely. Freddie Mercury gave the world his voice, his performances, his songs that still echo through generations. But he kept one last piece for himself and for Mary. In doing so, he ensured that even in death, he belonged first and foremost to those who truly loved him, not to the spotlight or the crowds. The secret of his resting place stands as a quiet testament to their bond. It reminds us that behind the legend was a man who valued intimacy and peace above fame. And perhaps, in the end, that is the most beautiful mystery of all. The love that continues to protect him, long after the music has faded and the curtains have closed. Freddie Mercury may have left this world, but his legacy lives on forever through his music, his fearless spirit, and his message of freedom. He became an enduring icon for the LGBTQ+ community and a source of inspiration for millions around the globe who found strength in his courage. He once said, "I'm just me," and he lived that truth fully, right up until his very last breath. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment below. What do you think about the way Freddie hid his illness and the mystery of his ashes? If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to Black Legend for more powerful, untold stories of legends who lived boldly and left their mark on the world. See you in the next one.